Here with Stephen Mathers, the designer of Kingdoms of the Crescent Moon, which has just been playtesting here at the Collaboratory at PAX. Stephen, how'd it go?
It was, let's just say, I was playing the Sultans, which is the guys that build the cities, and you can see on from the victory points, that one's gone all the way around. I was dead last in my own game, so from that point of view, it was a terrible game. From the point of view of me learning about recent rule tweaks that I just made, it was great.
Good to hear. Tell us a little bit about the game.
It's an area control and area influence game for 4 or 5 players. Each of the factions, actually if we have a look at this, sorry, each of the factions has the asymmetric abilities, which is, you know, there's a fair few games like that out there that have that. What I thought I made unique about this game was that each of the factions also has different goals they're trying to achieve. And if you look at, I can go through them for you here. The Horde are the black guys. They want to get a ton of units on the board and destroy all the buildings that the other players are building and killing their units in battles. There's the Caliphate that wants to spread out and control the whole board with their castles and armies. And as a side effect of them wanting to do that to achieve their objective, they also create a bit of shade for the other factions to prosper, where they'll be safe from the Horde. So I'm trying to build these interdependencies between all the factions. There are the Sultans, who are they were the ones that I played today. They're the only factions that can build these cities and these towns and put them down, and they kind of power the economy because they make a lot of money for that Sultan faction themselves. They're like the traders and the local rulers of each little area. But because of the way the game is structured, where the Sultans don't have an army, but there's this other faction down here called the Nomads who can hire their own units out as mercenaries, that they make all the money and then they're forced to expend that money to buy, well, goods and services, I guess you could call it, from the other factions. There's the Cult, who don't care about military control, they care about influence. So there's 2 parallel layers of competition in this game. There's military control, and then there's influence, which is non-military. So you can think of getting your spies out there, or if you're the Nomads, you know, your tribes go and influence that area, but they're not fighting. So what the Cult wants to do is spread out their influence and infiltrate other players' cities and win that way. And then lastly, of course, I mentioned the Nomads, who can hire out their units as mercenaries, but what they mostly want to do is settle their tribes in areas and be left alone. And that's the 5 factions.
Yes, great depth of strategy in that.
It's a long game and it's a deep game. Balance issues at the moment.
Yeah, so that's what state would you say the game's at in its development at the moment?
It's at the stage where I probably just need to churn through maybe a couple of dozen more play tests. Just there's a few knobs I can turn and a few sort of, you know, dials I can push just to balance things up. I'm happy with the way the card system works. I'm happy with the size, and although it's a long game, the kind of niche that I'm going for, people don't mind 2.5 hour games. Yeah, just play testing. I just got to grind through the play test, which is why like something like this is really awesome. I'm going to get in 2 or 3 play tests in a weekend, which is more than I usually get.
Yeah, very good. When do you think we might be able to see this in a Kickstarter or in a retail?
I'm pitching it like pretty much everybody else at these tables to Good Games, Kim Breback, Good Games Publishing tomorrow. He seems keen, so I would say next year. If I can't get it published, obviously I'll try and have a crack myself, and if maybe late next year.
Very good. Thanks for your time, Steve.
Thank you.